All right, good morning. We're gonna sharpen a couple chains. I usually take my chain grinder, I always pick it up like this, and then I bring them outside. Set them on my outdoor stand. Nice and cool out this morning. Not as cool as it was yesterday morning, but pretty cool. This is my favorite thing to do first thing in the morning is sharpen a chain. Got right there I want to sharpen. I already have cleaned this chain with gas. I soaked it in some gas and cleaned it off so that it's a little light out on here. I'll sharpen the 3/8 low pro chain, so we're getting it set up. Okay, let's turn it on. Like in the videos, they say that you always want to flip it towards you, so when I go to the other side, I'll flip the switch the other way to get it to run the other way. So the first thing you want to do is you want to dress your wheel. I've got two multi-point stones on here now. Hopefully the camera can see that. These are much better. And what I learned from someone who's a lot better at running one of these than me is you always want to, on this angle, you want to go out. This one doesn't matter, but you always want to come out with it. Let's do a little more. Back like that. That's why I moved. Then I just kind of touch that edge with my finger lightly so I can kind of see that corner. I haven't tightened this one up yet. Just getting this side up, set up. This chain, I'm just doing a light touch up. Never like bringing a chain to the woods that's not completely sharp. And gotta do here real quick, mark where I started. One of the next upgrades I'm going to do to this chain grinder, because this is a really nice chain grinder. Like, I guess from what's produced now, this is the nicest that you can get. I like that. I think it's like a Sylvie one that actually like moves the chain into the wheel on a track. I don't know what that one's called, but that one looks even more interesting than this one. But they don't make those anymore. But this is a major upgrade over just a round chain grinder. So I'm holding the chain, I kind of just press right here, and then I pull back and down right here, but I'm not putting any pressure on this arm. I'll make a really light pass. Move this light a little bit. I think it's blocking the V. I'm actually running this on the 063 setting, because on the 050 it's pretty sticky in here. So my next upgrade, I want to get one of those, I think it's like a billet little wheel here from Lucky Dog. But need to save up a little more money because I also want to get one of his little 90-degree tools. I think that'd be that's a nice little tool to have. That one, I think if I would have known that that was available, I probably would have bought that one over buying the $400 CC Specialty one. We'll do 2 light passes on this side. The rakers are already set pretty low, so we should be good to go there. And I'm really just doing just a light touch-up. A very slight bit of movement on this 063 side, but it just is so much smoother to operate. That's why I want to get that that billet one. That'll be a nice upgrade. I'll make a video once I get that. This is actually, this was a 28-inch chain, so you need an extra drive link to run a 24-inch chain on a Husqvarna saw. You might be able to get away with it, but it'll be very close to the back of the adjustment if you're doing it on with a 7-tooth. But I just went ahead and added a link to this one. Well, I didn't add a link, I actually just shortened a 28-inch chain. So that's why some of the teeth have, like it's not even each side. There's like a couple spots where there's like 2 teeth on one side. I think there's 2 spots. But 28-inch chain, shortened it down to 24. We'll redress the wheel lightly because you can see there's just a teeny bit of buildup. So one thing that's really nice about this one, it's a bigger wheel than what you get on a organ chain grinder. That one's like, I think 5 3/4, and this one's 8. So the bigger that your wheel is, basically the more material you can remove without the chain getting too hot, because that's your enemy here, is you don't want to get the chain too hot. So we'll just dress this side up lightly, just a real, oop, that's a little too much. That's all I'm gonna do. Just want to that looks good. Do a little touch to get that edge. So I don't change any settings when going from side to side. I don't really set these. I have a wing nut. Well, I had a wing nut on the back of this one. I don't know where it is, but I have a wing nut on the other one. But I don't really use the stops. It's more of just for resting your fingers on. Move the light over to here so you can see. I think you can see pretty good with my GoPro in this angle. About as good as you can do without like having someone else film me do this, which, oop. So that's what you want to avoid. You don't want the chain to move. So I was not hanging on to it. I'm doing the same thing here, pulling back and down on this side, and then just kind of pinching this side of the chain over towards me. just a little bit. That's just the way I'm doing it. You want to keep that tooth as still as possible. That'll give you the sharpest edge. Because if this tooth is, I'm going to exaggerate this, if this, like, you bring it into the wheel and this, you know, the front of this tooth lifts up, then you're not going to get a sharp top plate. And you want a sharp top plate if you want to cut fast. I'm going to put this chain on that Farmer Tech 395. The other thing I want to do to that saw is I want to take it back apart for a final time and just I'm going to lower the intake duration a little bit more. So I'll grind out the epoxy that's in there right now and put a little bit more epoxy in there and bring it up a little bit farther. Actually, that's not right. So what I did is I just ran two. Yeah, that is right. So I got too many saws. But I want to increase the size of the intake. I'm going to make it more like the Mickey Mouse shape. Make it fully open at top dead center. Basically grind it up to the bottom of the intake port. And lower the duration even more, probably down to 78. I pulled the filter yesterday and seen there was still a little bit of spit back at, I think it was like 81. It seems to, I mean, it runs decent. I wouldn't say that it's an animal, but it runs good for what it is. Transfers I did perfect. They're open at 118 degrees. The exhaust is at 102. So 20 degrees of blowdown. I made the transfers bigger on the intake side to try to get more of that charge to go towards the you know, the intake wall to keep it from going out the exhaust. And then I shaped the lower transfers a little bit so that the charge flows in. It flows into that transfer and kind of it goes into the transfer, and then when it comes out the upper transfer, it's shooting more towards the intake wall. So I kind of dug out just the side, I guess it's, yeah, it's the exhaust side of the transfers, so that it helps get more of a, you know, kind of the stream through the upper transfers to flow towards the intake side. So I dug out the exhaust side of the lower transfers a little bit to give it more of an angle. So like the way that these new Stihl and Husqvarna saws are with the front fed transfers, that's a much better design. I can't get the power out of the older style saws that I can out of those new ones. I mean, it seems that new design just really flows a lot better, which is why they went to it. And it helps keep the saw narrow. Having big side transfers like the old cylinders, harder to keep the body of the saw narrow. That's one thing I really like about the 500i, is it's nice and thin. I would say that saw is my favorite saw. It is my fastest saw with a good dialed in chain. I do want to build, well, I have an 064 that I want to build, and I also have a Farmer Tech hybrid saw that I also want to build. 660 big bore cylinder, 661 piston, I believe. That one, it'll work. I just might have to trim some of the fins on top of the cylinder in order for it to fit under the plastic. But everything else, you know, the intake boot, all that stuff, I feel like I can make work. The bolt pattern is the same. I don't think I marked this side. I'll just take a quick peek. That looks good. That should cut pretty good. Yeah, I need to come in here and grind this out. I'll probably just do that on the organ chain grinder to grind that out. But as I was saying, so the Farmertech saw I want to build, I'm gonna build it off the 460 Farmertech chassis, and then I'll be able to, you know, use some of the parts off of my 440. I am gonna have to buy an OEM chain tensioner unless they fix that. I'll make a video if it's actually been upgraded so it actually works. But the chain tensioner that was on my 440 did not work good. That's the only Farmertech saw that I have that has a chain tensioner that needed to be switched out for OEM. It just was not smooth, difficult to turn, just kind of a cheaply made part. This is the breakfast this morning. We have Black Rifle coffee, espresso, 300 milligrams. That should do the trick, get me going. Here's the 440 hybrid. I really just want to see if the reason I'm doing this hybrid is to see if I can make a saw that's faster than the 500i. That's kind of the thought here. I think so I took advantage of the West Coast Saw sale. Labor Day West Coast Saw sale, got my 20% off. I think you had to spend $250 to get the 20% off. So I did that. So I've got a West Coast side cover coming for this saw, but I'm going to use it on this one and this one and the 460, because I probably only will run one of the three of these at a time. And then the other one, whichever the other one will be, I'll just run this side cover on it. This one's pretty good. This is a much better side cover than, you know, the stock one here. That's not that good. I'll need to make a video once I get this next round of West Coast Saw parts. I'll kind of make a video where I talk about which parts that I feel are kind of necessary, and you know, kind of more of like a value type of video, like I did with the chainsaw bars. This chain still looks pretty good. A little bit of damage on this far side. Just I seen a couple teeth that had a little bit of damage on them. 20-inch, still non-professional bar. A lot of time on it. What I'm going to do, so I'm going to run the West Coast dogs on this one, and well, actually, for the new Farmertech, I really don't want to spend a lot of money on that until I know that it makes a lot of power. So I'll put the bark box on it because I ordered one for this, but it also will fit that 460. So I'll throw that bark box on there, so I don't have to do muffler mod. I may just pop this muffler onto that saw and just throw the cover on it, because I did do one big side port here. You can see. Let me get the light, flashlight. Where are you? Probably out on the table here. There it is. These are really nice for working on chainsaws. Checking timing. But yep, pretty much a full port here. I thought that this was a stainless one, but I think they didn't have any stainless when I ordered this one from Dino Joe. And this was my old school way of doing it, just a bolt and a nut, and then I just used like a punch here, and I just made sure that the nut was not going to back off and then the motor suck up one of those bolts. That would not be good. My new method of doing that is using one of these a couple of these riv nuts. These are nice. That's the best way to do it. Also ordered a couple more West Coast saw deflectors, so I have like one of each of them. So I ordered the ones that I didn't have, so that doing new saw builds, or new muffler mods, I mean, I'll be able to pick which one will fit the best. I want to, on this, what do you call it, on the 064, we're kind of bouncing around here. On this 064, I already put one in here. I'll just show you what this one looks like. So I just did this. I lost 2 riv nuts by doing this, but this is how I'm doing them. This is the muffler that came with the 064, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade. I'll do a conversion to the 660 style muffler, so that I can run the West Coast bark box. I feel like that one looks the best, and I guess the other brand one doesn't. It like flows out like right here, whereas the West Coast one really only vents up here. So it's not gonna put a bunch of carbon on your case. And I think the West Coast one looks better. I mean, my thing is I go for what looks the best. I think that West Coast one looks the best. So the thing, how do you know which muffler that you have? If you haven't, some of the, I guess the newer 064s had the 066 muffler, and if you look at the West Coast one or just the eBay highway, yeah, it's a highway muffler, it's actually got little tabs down here. If it's straight across the bottom, then you have the old style one. You can get the other branded muffler cover, but I'd rather just switch to that new style so I can run the West Coast muffler cover on it. I've read on the forums that it can be done, so I'm gonna do it, and then I'll just make a little video, show you how I did it, in case anyone else is trying to do the same thing I'm doing. I was gonna cut this out. I started cutting it out, but then I was like, wait a second, I can't get a West Coast side cover for it. So you can see that this is better than nothing. Drilling a hole right here, but I'm just gonna remove this whole baffle. You don't need that. That just kind of robs you of some power. So I'm gonna remove that thing on the new highway muffler that I get. The mufflers, I mean, it's just a little can, so there's really nothing wrong with those mufflers. And then this other person did this muffler mod right here, and there's a little gap back here, so I'm gonna just do a new plate here, or when I do the new one, I'll just have it perfect cutout for this West Coast thing, and it'll be just like this one on the side, because this actually fits in there perfect. So I want to do one on the side. I ordered one of the taller wider ones for the top here, because I measured and it'll fit, so I believe. And you can see how this one works really good. This one will have good flow. Pretty much the goal for this 064 is max power. I'm not running this in any residential area, so I don't care about the noise. So we're gonna have it good and opened up. This one, not gonna do anything to. I may just pull the screen, because I don't need to run a spark arrestor where I live. It's pretty, we get a lot of rain here, and it's pretty humid. So none of my saws have a spark arrestors on them, unless they have the bark box. But the other muffler mods that I have don't have a spark arrestor. Never had any problems with that. But if you're in an area where it's dry, then you need to run one. I might, if the, what do you call it, so the 460, they don't have any. That's one reason why I've been waiting on this project a little bit. They don't have any full wrap ones, so I guess I'll just order the half wrap. But if the saw turns out really good, then I'll get a what do you call it, that Pro Safety full wrap, because the Pro Safety full wrap will fit this saw, it'll fit the 460, and then I guess it also will fit that 044. That's a 10mm one there. Wish it was a 12mm, because I would have already made a hybrid out of it, but that one's a 10mm. I'm on the hunt for a 12mm case. That's what I'm looking for. A good one. But that's on the back burner. I'm not trying to spend too much money on it. I want to try to find a good deal on eBay. But yeah, so the plan is I'm gonna port this 460, this hybrid build first, to get a little bit of practice in. It's been a while since I've done any porting, done any transfers. Mainly the hardest thing is raising the transfers and getting those to flow perfect. So I'm going to use the 460 as my little practice saw before I do this OEM 064 cylinder. I don't want to mess that up. This one will get a new piston too, and I think I'm going to do a dome. I'm going to do a dome piston on the 064. Actually, I'm going to make two, because I'll just program it up in the CNC lathe, so I'll do two, because I'll buy two new OEM pistons. I already have a second 460 cylinder. That what I want to do is I'm going to do two dome pistons, one for this 064, and then have a backup, since I'm already going to set up a program to run this piston, to cut a taper in it, and then just chamfer that outer edge. It's not real difficult to do, but might as well just do two, kill two birds with one stone. So I have a backup one in case for this one or something, but also for the other 440 build with the other 460 cylinder that I have over there. So I'll be able to cut the intake skirt after, or I mean we'll cut the skirts down on it after, but I'll just cut both of the domes, so I don't have to raise. My thought is, so I don't have to raise the transfers up quite as much, because on this one, this saw actually cut a relief in the exhaust, because I thought that it was going to have too much compression. And then I guess the other thing I'll do for one of them, I'll mill out the I guess it's like the bushings. You know, this is the wrist pin in there. The 064 one's a little bit narrower, so you need to widen it out a little bit. I think this is like 15 millimeters is how much you gotta widen it out to. 15 or 17, I don't remember. It's been a long time. But run it in the mill while the crown is still flat, and make it a little bit wider. I might cut the skirts down on it too, or I might just leave them for now. Not 100% sure yet, but I plan to do two pistons on the CNC mill, so that have a backup. But we're gonna leave this one at 60 or 52 millimeters. I wish it was 62. That'd be kind of sick. But I'm gonna leave it at 52 millimeters so that I can see how it runs here. The one that Dyno Joe had on his dyno 064 52 millimeter made more power than his 660 one that he did. I don't know if he did any epoxy on the intake, but the amount of power that the 064 that he had on there is plenty for me, so that's what I'm gonna do. See how it runs. 52 millimeter. Maybe someday I'll get another 064 or an 066, and then put that Wiseco 54 millimeter piston, extra one that I have. I'm glad I bought all of those when I did, because now they're all gone. So hopefully they're gonna make some more. I'll definitely buy a couple more. Wish I had a 064 Wiseco piston. They used to have them, but that would have been a sweet piston to throw in that saw, but they don't got one. They don't got any anymore. But yeah, so that's a little update, a little chain sharpening. So yeah, that's kind of some stuff to look forward to seeing. I'll do a build series on both the 064 here and the 460. I'll do all the machine work, to like the cylinder bases and stuff, make the mandrels. I'll do all that together, but I'll keep the builds separate, and then kind of have like a full build series of each one. I split it into, you know, several 10-minute videos, so you can kind of see what I'm doing, not in a sense of this is how to do it. This is just what I'm doing, and I'm just willing to share, you know, what I'm doing, and just show you the results. But yeah, I am not an expert at doing this. There's other people out there that you can watch that are experts, that do this a lot more than I do. I mean, I've only done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've only done 5 saws. So I only have experience porting 5 chainsaws, so I'm a beginner at doing this. I've bought the correct tool so I can do the best job that I can. Things like this guy right here. This is really important to have if you're doing the quad transfers. I think to have in this one, or even better, that one from Lucky Dog. That one's probably even better than this one, but so that you can get the shape of the transfers perfect when you're doing the quads. The dual transfers, like in these older saws, are much easier to do. I actually did this saw here with this one, this little $40 AliExpress or Alibaba, I don't remember, one of those little sites like that. This one came from China. It took about a month to get here, but these are good. I mean, I'll probably buy another one of these at some point. It's good holding here. It's just kind of clunky, and it's not very long. So when you're in the cylinder, you're holding this upside down, doing this in the cylinder. This one was a little bit harder to hang on to. I was like really hanging on to it like this in there. So having it a little bit longer like this is nice, just so you can get a full grip on it still, have good control. But yeah, I mean, this will work. This will work good, especially if you're just doing the dual transfers instead of the quads. So yes, that's pretty much it for this one. I figured I'd just give a little update after I did a little chain sharpen this morning to kind of wake up. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.